Oh, I can't hear you. Hold on. Something I have to do on my end. No, I think it's on your end.
Guys, it's Benny Panella. What's going on, dude?
Justin, how you been, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I have no structure to these things at all. So now that we have clear lines of communication, I figured we just jump right into it. And I literally have not seen you since like Augustine in.
Yeah, it's been over a year, I
Yeah, I
think.
know.
Yeah, just about over a year. It's
And
crazy.
I've been slightly depressed, and when the opportunity to do this came up, I was like, you know something, I really should ask Benny to do this because I haven't even gotten to talk to you in a while,
Yeah.
like long length. So what have you been up to? For those of you that don't know Benny, I was introduced to Benny through
Hmm.
a few other friends of mine, and Benny, not only being the amazing radio personality that he is also a champion of local artists and independent artists, as well as being a sensational radio DJ for such stations as 94.7 WDSD and iHeartRadio. Um, and I just love what you do, and you've been a very good friend and champion for my music to me and a bunch of my friends. And that's how I think of Benny. So how does Benny think of Benny? Let the people know, how you've been and what you've been up to.
Thank you. I appreciate that introduction. Yeah, man, the pandemic's been weird. I had a bit of a career change, still doing radio, still doing all that stuff. Still a champion of independent artists, even though I'm not doing Nashville's Next anymore. Had to make some sacrifices with the new job and new lifestyle, but I'm very big supporter of independent music still, and I try to help where I can. But no, man, I've been good. It's been too long since I've seen you. We have to do a double date soon with you and April and me and
Yes, we
Erica.
do. Yes, we do.
Um, and that does pertain to one of the questions I got, which I put up on my Instagram. But I've been good, man. Living life. Me and my girlfriend living together. We have an apartment in Greenville, and I work at a new company now, CSC, and still do iHeart on the side. I think what I realized with the radio job, I love it. But there was a lot of stress at iHeart,
Yeah.
and it was kind of crazy. Like I'd get to work at like 8 a.m. and I wouldn't leave until like 9.
Mm.
And there was a lot of days like that. Days where I would take a lunch break and then end up not eating at all and having to work through lunch. So like after a while, I started to notice like it wasn't healthy. I realized afterwards it wasn't healthy. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I realized that
Yeah.
there was a lot of I had so much stress. I had like a neck problem. It was crazy.
What?
We'll get to that in a second. And then, yeah, there's one moment about that, but
We have a lot
um,
to catch
I think
up on, actually.
yes, we do. But like I think the long and short was like the support wasn't there to continue doing what I was doing at the level I was doing it. Like people understand is like, yeah, I was a radio guy. There's a bunch of other stuff behind the scenes that I was being tasked with doing. And we don't have this astronomical staff. So it's like a one-man show. It was a lot. Um,
That's actually that's an interesting place to kind of start this conversation.
yeah.
Because one thing that it's so funny you bring that up. One thing I thought the other day was, you and I, even though we're both in the music business, it's kind of like, we're in the same arena playing two different games.
Yes.
And even though we're playing two different games, there's a lot of parallels. One thing that does parallel between being the artist and also being radio personnel, someone that is
Mhm.
then responsible for, not only pushing the artist, but also their content and certain things that you have to follow in guidelines and, where you're able to stretch out of the box and whatever you happen to do. Um, is people only see the surface.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to me, the only thing they see is me when I'm on stage, when I'm playing my guitar, when I'm singing my songs. And for the most part, unless they happen to catch me on Instagram or see one of my posts or whatever have you, those are the only real glimpses of me that they get. And
Mhm.
with you, the only glimpse that they get into your life is, oh, when I hear Benny on the radio, or I see
Yeah.
him promoting something, or if he's doing a live event somewhere, they only get that snapshot in your world. They don't get everything else. And especially in radio, I would argue and say, like, radio DJs and radio personnel have some of the most demanding, and this isn't me like blowing smoke, but it's like I really like getting to
Mhm.
know a lot of people inside the business. Is like you guys have some of the hardest jobs in music. Like it's a tough gig.
Yeah, it is. The industry also is it's a drastically changing industry. That's a conversation. I could extend this thing to like a full 4 hours, but like my theory on like radio and where it's headed. But like, yeah, now I appreciate that. It's a difficult job, but to your point, yeah, people only like, it's like with Instagram models, you only see like the filtered photo. You don't see what it took to get that photo. You don't see the hours at the gym. You don't see the hours putting on makeup. You don't see the hours of positioning right, editing the photo,
But
getting filters on
maintaining
there.
like of
Yeah,
everything that has to go into that.
yes, you don't see that. And I love the analogy. We're in the same arena playing two different games. It's almost like, like you're a wide receiver and I'm the kicker. Like we're playing the
Right.
same sport. We're most of the time we're on the same team, but we do two different things.
The
Um,
task is completely different, and
yeah,
people think, oh yeah, well they're playing the same sport. It's like, dude, it's not even close. It's
no.
not even close to the same job.
Like I had people used to tell me like, oh, you have a very easy job. You don't have a job that requires a lot of skill. Maybe in your opinion, it doesn't. There is a
Mm.
skill for social interaction. There's a skill for drawing engagement and being an entertainer and providing content for people to enjoy. That's a skill, and it's a skill in demand, especially right now where people don't have anything to do or aren't allowed to go
Mm.
and do anything. But for me, I enjoy that part. I enjoy making content, being creative, coming up with ideas. But what I didn't enjoy was like uh, the way, I guess the way I want to put it is like you're held on the back end professionally. You're held at such a very unique standard, and I call it unique because it's not like it's astronomically high, but the demands are very uh they're always moving goalposts almost. That's the way to put it.
Right.
Like you make something that engages a lot of things and gets a lot of engagements and is a great piece of content. I did this March Madness thing in March of last year with like urban legend monsters, and I got a ton of engagement off that. A ton of people still to this day follow me because I did that.
Huh.
And it's really cool. Like they'll message me every once in a while and send me like an urban legend story. Hey dude, if you do another one, do put this guy in there.
Right.
And like that's cool. But the way like work saw it, they saw it as a double-edged sword. They saw it as like, well, yeah, you're getting engagement, but you didn't do these things. You weren't able to do these things. And that's not something I want to deal with. Like I think that's the best way to put it.
Right.
No, I had a full-time role. I was doing radio. I was doing all these things behind the scenes, and I just I had to get out of there. I had to get out of the full-time role. I'm not, I'm not going to sit here and crap all over iHeart. I love them. I still technically an employee,
Mm.
but at the same time, and this is something I learned, and I think it's a lesson that you learned in your last podcast, which I love, JT Backstage.
Thank you.
Um, I loved your last one. It was just you, and it was just you being very vulnerable. And you said you have a passion for music, and you do music because you love doing music. And you were talking about people you worked with before and the things they said to you. And I had almost that same coming to Jesus moment where I got an email, and it was a very, and I'll never forget. I still have it. I still saved it, and it basically laid everything out that gave me 1 month to start doing what iHeart wanted me to do.
Mm.
And what they wanted me to do was not anything that I wanted to do or enjoyed doing or felt I needed to do to be happy. And that was that moment where I knew I had to get out of there. Get out of there full time. Still love it there. Still love, doing sports. Still love doing my show. What I have noticed also with my show is that I've gotten better by doing less. I can focus more on doing one thing. But the health thing was wild. So couple months after I started my new job, you get your health insurance, you get all that stuff that new jobs have. And I was like, okay, I gotta go to the doctor. I haven't been to the doctor in like over a year because of the pandemic. They
Right.
canceled, they weren't doing anything. At one point, my doctor just retired, didn't let me know.
Decided he was gonna just
Um,
close up.
yeah, no, didn't close up. They had their office. They were a part of an office. The doctor just retired and didn't
Oh.
let anyone know. And I was like trying to get a prescription filled, and they were like, that doctor doesn't work here anymore. And I'm like, oh, wonderful. So I saw another doctor in the office, and they were looking at my neck because they noticed I would like move my neck weird. If I was just sitting there every like 5 minutes, I'd like, twinge my neck. And they said, wait, let me check your neck. And they like started rubbing my neck. And like, then they got to my shoulders and they said, oh my God, like it feels like you have 30 knots in your shoulders.
Ooh.
And I said, well, that's just kind of how it's always been. They said, no, it's like swollen. Like you have like swell. I had so many knots in my neck and shoulders. I had like 3 pinched nerves, and I was
Oh.
having headaches and I was having migraines, and I never realized it because I just lived with it because I
Right.
had no choice but to live with it. And they prescribed like this ointment, and it's improved. It's not perfect. It's improved. But man, like stress is crazy. Like that's what I learned in the past year. Stress, it literally can kill you.
And what's
Wild.
even worse about that is that, when you're literally, yeah, I mean, based off my last episode, that it's very funny how like you put everything that you're feeling physically and mentally completely aside because
Yes.
you feel like you have to deal with all of these things that are right in front of you. And there's a lot of people that demand, and again, this is not like a, you know, boo-hoo, woe was us kind of thing, but
No.
this goes for anybody. Like I can tell you, it goes for April. I watch her deal with it. I'm sure Erica deals with it. Like
Oh,
I'm sure.
speaking of which,
Oh,
she
there. Hey,
there she is.
you are being recorded as we speak.
You're on the podcast.
Woo! I made it. I'm famous.
Erica, she is awesome. If you want to stalk her, you can go to Benny's Instagram page. Just kidding. Don't do that. I'll have to come after you too. Um, I don't play.
Stalk away.
Yeah.
That's a subject we can get to is the weird people you meet in radio. So you meet wonderful people like Justin and Nate Smythe and AJ Jessen and Javon Newman, who he submitted a question that he wants to ask, and we can get to that in a little bit. But you
Yes,
meet
yes. We have to do the Benny Panella
yes
Instagram thread questions.
questions. But you meet some weird people. I've had multiple stalkers.
Yeah, I can say I've had at least three or four.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
listen, I am in no stretch of the imagination a good looking guy. I don't even know why Erica dates me.
Well, I
Um,
mean, I would argue that, but I rest my case. I mean,
self-deprecating
you're the
humor.
one that's looking at the side. Again, talking about sides people don't see. I'm the one wearing a flat bill hat with a Shih Tzu on top of it and a blue cardigan. But
I was
whatever.
gonna say I don't see you in many flat brim hats. I like that though.
Thank you. Uh, if I have a headache, I try to stay out of them. I used to wear them way too often. Um,
That's a
back,
fitted, right?
yes, it is. This was actually a gift from my friend, Mr. Jason Mitchell.
Ooh,
Mr. Herman Lee, he co-wrote All In with me, but this is one of
okay.
Herman Lee's hats, who also is a fellow Shih Tzu enthusiast. And speaking of dogs, my pit bull is right here saying hi to us. Say hi. Hi, baby. She's down on the floor. But yeah, like yeah, again, like we have all these amazing people in our life, and we've met
You
some
do.
really great people, but I mean, I'll tell you, man, there's some that just
It's sad though because like a lot of the amazing people you don't necessarily remember, but you remember the weird ones. You
that is
remember the weird
absolutely
ones.
true.
As a matter of fact, there was one
You remember them for your entire life. You're just like, oh,
yes,
God,
they never
ugh.
leave you. Like okay, so this artist is not the reason why I stopped doing Nashville's Next, but they're a part of it. And I don't want to name their name because I had no free clout. I don't like them. If they hear this and they want to hit me up, I've blocked their number. I've blocked them on social media. I do not care about them. They are
Oh
done.
God.
Their episode is no longer up. They are gone. They have been erased. They're done. And no, it's not you. I love you.
You have
But
been canceled.
but I had
Damn.
an artist. I had an artist try to blackmail me. Yeah, it's weird. Like you think you develop like this great relationship with someone, and then they try to start to like, oh yeah, why don't you play my song on the radio? And their song, I mean, like, listen, I'm very honest about music. If I
Do
like it,
do I know
like it.
them as well? It's a mutual person.
You might, you might. It's not
It's
like
a big
they're
world.
foreign. It's a big world. Might be able to tell you off air.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can text me later.
Yes. Their songs were subpar, and I say that as kind as I possibly can because I don't believe they should lose their dream of making music, but I think they should stop doing what they're doing and believe in themselves. Anyway, this
That's an
person,
interesting topic. We can go to that
yes,
next. That's an interesting topic. Yes.
this
So your
person
story.
kept trying to blackmail me using like private conversations we've had in person. They tried to blackmail me doing that to get their songs on the radio. And that stunned me to the point where I like, the story goes on and on and on. And it's one that I usually tell people when I'm drunk, or high. Usually hanging out by a fire completely off the record. In detail because it's just so freaking ridiculous. I don't know if you're allowed to cuss on this, but it's so.
Oh yeah, you can say whatever you want.
It's so completely ridiculous, the entire story. But the long and short of it is they tried to blackmail me. It failed completely on their end. And once as soon I knew what they were doing as soon as it happened. And I said, nope, you're done. Deleted their podcast, blocked them, took them off everything. The last text message I said to him, I said, do not talk to me ever again. We're done.
Wow.
Yeah. A wild story. But there's people like that. There's people that like the weird DM messages at like 2 a.m. Just all kinds of weird stuff. But then there's wonderful people like Justin Taylor.
Oh, it's funny. Like you said something that was so self-aware that it's kind of astonishing because I wish, like, again, it's not something you can teach somebody to do,
No.
but I I kind of went through that as well. And when you said that, I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. I tell people that all the time that like there's a lot of different avenues in this business. And again, it is a business and you have to treat the business with respect. But when it comes to the art, we wouldn't be in this business if it wasn't for the music and if it wasn't for the
Yes.
people. That's,
Yes.
we have to remember that's the root of where all of this comes from is people that
Yes.
have a talent and they want to make music and it's art and they want to produce things and they want to put, they want to leave their stamp on the world. That's why we're in this, right? So there's a fine line though between expressing yourself and I guess some people would call it selling out, but
Yeah,
I
like
I notice it's
playing
not
the
so much.
music that you think is going to benefit you right then and there. Like,
It's like just jumping on the bandwagon with like the whole like, and again, I'm not like again, there's people that I know personally that do this very, very well, like say a Sam Grow or a Hank Miller.
yes.
There's guys that say do that style of because it is a style of country.
Mhm.
The country is very broad. It's not
Yeah.
as and whereas I'm more of a emo country, basically I'm an alternative rock artist at this point.
Yeah.
Um there's a lot of different avenues in like there's so many subgenres now it's not even funny. But I've seen so many people jump on the alternative rock, like the alt now kind of stuff,
Yep.
and the bro country, pop country
Yes.
train that I listen to them sometimes and I think, God, if they would just do what I feel like they really want to do, and if they put their time and stop trying to be trendy, but just do what you're good at, you would get so much farther if you just did what
Yeah.
you do. If you just do what you're good at versus trying to change yourself to do what you think is going to be the most popular for you.
Mhm.
Like this, but there's a self-awareness that has to come with that where you can't ever get somebody to see that.
Yes. Now, when you watch Sam Grow sing a country song and you and I have been to his shows, and I've been to quite a few of his shows. And when you watch him sing, yeah,
I was in his band.
When you watch guys like that, like play country music, you can tell he's comfortable doing that. When this artist would play his music, I could tell with every single song, no matter if it was a cover, no matter if it was an original, I could tell they were completely uncomfortable in that. They were only doing it because they thought if they played that song and it caught on, or they stayed in this genre and they caught on, they'd be able to make a lot of money and be successful. Like that, like it's funny because like both of our aspects of the industry, music and radio, they're experiencing the same thing.
We can both see it.
Yeah, it's written on the wall, and it drives me nuts because great radio content. I'm not this like 28-year-old that's only been listening to radio since I was like 17. I grew up listening to all kinds of radio, and then once I discovered YouTube, I went back and listened to all old style. I listened to Howard Stern. I listened to Angelo Cataldi back in the 80s. I went and listened to all the big radio guys. Casey Kasem was one of my favorite. It's an art. Talking to people.
Phenomenal.
Oh my God. I, for the longest time, wish I could, the American Top 40. I wish that could have been me. Like, I wish so bad that was not Ryan Seacrest just bleh on the microphone, talking through his nose, or Mario Lopez, who's, God, he's awful.
But again, that goes back to the conversation about having to be authentic.
Yeah, they're just not.
You want to talk about being full circle. Like, you have to, like, you know, just as much like that, like you have to be authentic to yourself, you know, and like,
yeah,
you know, you've developed a radio style that is you.
yeah.
Like I remember our last podcast, you said that was how you fucked up your voice. and you went to a doctor. I remember this story like it was yesterday. And you're like, you were like, I was trying to do what I thought was like the radio voice. So welcome to the morning show with Panella. And he was like, well, that's why. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
And so when
oh my God,
it's like it's like, but then you had that moment where you're like, oh yeah, duh. And then
just talk naturally. Yeah.
You start being you, and you see the success that you've had in your field since you just. Same thing with me. Like, it took me a while to find myself, but once you just kind of admit, like, okay, this is what I really do well. I'm gonna, for the most part, again, this is a very broad scope, but I'm gonna ignore my weaknesses and I'm gonna focus on my strengths.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's best feeling in the world to do that. And again, people can see it. It's like CGI in movies. Okay, they can make it look really good now. The bear from The Revenant looks really good.
So good.
But it's CGI.
Yeah.
And you might not notice it, but your brain does. And when you listen to music that you can tell someone's not comfortable making, you may not notice it, but your brain does. To the well-trained ear and eye, you see it. You can see it in their face. You see it in their expressions. You can see it. And there's been a handful of major artists that I've seen it. Off the top of my head, I want to say, like when I watched Luke, I went to a Luke Bryan concert one time, and I could kind of tell that he wasn't comfortable doing all the things that he was doing on stage. Now, he's great. He's awesome. He's Luke Bryan. But
I will say his live band, which, by the way, Cole Swindell wrote my favorite Luke. Ironically, Cole Swindell wrote my favorite Luke Bryan song ever. But his live band is phenomenal. They put on an amazing show.
They are. Yeah.
It's a rock show.
It's a rock show.
Yeah.
Which is why when I watch Luke Bryan do like a slow, somber country song, I just look at him. I'm like, do you want to rock? I can tell you just want to open this thing up and rock. So, you know, you just notice that it's not entirely comfortable.
But then you go handful. Like if we want to name country, like the first time I ever saw Ryan Hurd.
Yeah.
First time I ever saw Ryan Hurd, I went, you know something? Like if you listen to City Girl, like that first EP, I was like, okay. But then he came out with like songs like Michigan for the Winter.
Yep.
And when I see him perform those live, or like Her Name Was Summer, I go, that is what he was meant to do.
Yes.
Because you can see, and when the way that he performs those songs that he's written, which by the way, his songwriting talent is on a completely other planet. That guy.
He's a very good songwriter. I love
one of the best songwriters in the genre.
Yes, but I say that, but again, when you listen to those songs, that's what he was born to do. I wouldn't put those songs in the country bin,
Right.
you know, and I wouldn't do that. It's a unique music now has become, it's almost like it's inbred so much that it's just amalgamation of everything. I
Yeah.
love it. I mean, I love it. I listen to a lot of country, I listen to a lot of rock, I listen to a lot of hip hop. I'm all over the place. If you look at my Spotify, it is fucking nuts, the
I've
stuff
seen
on there.
it.
There's everything from Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin all the way up to like ASAP Rock. Like you're
Yeah.
listening to like I found this one rock band called Bill Murray, and I've been listening to them a lot.
Dude, they're great. They're
so
awesome.
good.
I know Bill. Yeah, they're great.
So good. There's also another band. The lead singer, I think, was involved in some child naughtiness, but it's called Issues, and they were good. Like 2010, Issues is good.
Yeah.
Again, the guy, like, you know, guy went and did something horrible and awful, and I hope he serves time for it if he ever gets caught. But great music. Like rock, that type of metal, like all that stuff. I listen, and mind you, it's not like I'm like working out or doing a specific thing. I'm just sitting there on my computer doing work. Like it's just, you know, if someone walks up and hears like me, like that screamo stuff, they're gonna be like, "What? Who hurt you?" And I'm gonna be like, "Ah."
Yeah, but you know, it's so funny. Like you and I are into the same kind of stuff, and I love. Again, I was born in Virginia, spent a lot of time with my grandparents. My father was also very into music. My mom was like my whole family's into music. I was listening to everything from, you know, Garth Brooks and Jim Croce all the way to Def Leppard to Guns N' Roses to Slayer to bands like Issues or All
Yeah.
Time Low or Motionless in White or like the list, like Beartooth is one of my favorites now. Like,
Oh, I love Beartooth. In Between. Yes.
and there's so many things that like when you said that music is so
It's
it's
become like
also
it's amalgamation. It's just
it's so
everything's, yeah.
cross-pollinated now that quite frankly, unless you're like a top 40 pop artist, like
Uh-huh.
unless you're like real pop, it's all kind of it, it's just melodies.
Yeah.
Really, it's all just melodies and riffs and hooks. So I'd be very interested, like as far as when it comes to your perspective on the business and what you know you listen to versus what you have to promote.
Yeah.
Not necessarily what you have to promote or what like ends up being promoted within the format that
Mhm.
you know you're in. Is there anything that like when you hear like say a new song's coming out, right?
Yeah.
And someone's like, "Hey, this is the new single from, you know, Betty and the Joe Bobs or whatever." And you
Great
hear it
band.
and you're like, "Oh, really? This is the next thing? This is what we're playing next?"
Yeah.
Like how often does that cross your mind? You're like, "Really? This is where we're going?"
All of the fucking time.
I love
Best
it.
way to answer that
I
question.
love it all the fucking time.
I will tell you this, full transparency. Our morning show, Bobby Bones, who's the national iHeart Country morning show. I was when we first got him, I was the exact same way with everyone. I'm like, oh my God, here it comes. Exactly what I'm theorizing radio is going to become.
Right.
Brands of stations, iHeart Country. The lineup is going to be Bobby Bones, this person, this person, this person.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Bones is a very authentic person. I will give him a ton of credit for that.
Bobby's
Very
one of the
authentic
most
person.
honest people in a
Yes.
world. Like, remember when he had John Mayer on his show for the morning show, and
Yes.
he was like, "Yeah, I played your song in the blood, and I got screamed at, and all that."
Mhm.
You know, and then they kind of had a similar conversation that we're having now, where it's like, you know, John said, you know, it's become like John said, "When's the last time did you hear the phrase, you know, that's outside the box?"
You don't.
Like everything's outside the box now.
Yeah, because
There's no box.
that's the way it is. There's no box. Everything is everything. Exactly. But Bobby Bones said something that opened my eyes. He said, I might have this quote completely butchered. I'm going to paraphrase it.
Yeah.
Basically, he said anywhere between 50 to 70% of the number one songs in any genre are not true number one songs. What happens is these record labels come in, they pump so much money into these songs, they need to make their money back with streaming plays and radio spins and all that shit. They boosting tours and all that stuff. They make people believe these songs are getting played a ton when in actuality people are just hearing them a ton. The songs aren't necessarily great. Yeah. There's been,
and that reflects when you go on an app like Spotify and you see the streaming numbers. You see what the fans are actually listening to versus what's on the radio.
Yes. Now I will say this: there's plenty of these streaming services that definitely are in cahoots with the record labels, pump those numbers up a little bit.
That's where everything gets kind of messy, and
that's where a lot of things get messy. But for the most part, the songs you're hearing that are these new number one song in country music, it's likely not the best quality song that you hear. To me,
it happens on rock radio too. It's not just country, like rock radio.
Oh, it had something with all the genres.
The whole,
just because I'm such a big fan of this artist. Tyler Childers is one of my favorite country artists to listen to. Fantastic. He's amazing. Bluegrass, folky, I call him if Chris Stapleton's like the
screaming down the highway, blaring "If I Can't Take My Hands to Heaven." I will play that till the day I die driving down the highway.
My favorite one is Feathered Indians, and you go, "Well, my buckle makes impression." I literally
on the inside of her thigh.
Belt that all day long. I always say, like, if you consider like Ian Munsick to be like Wyoming country, and you consider Chris Stapleton to be like your Midwestern country, and whoever to be your beach country guy, I would say if you went to the backwoods of like West Virginia and you went up in the mountains and you found just a hut near a creek,
that's where you
busted open the door. Tyler Childers is in there writing a song with like looking completely disheveled, drinking, whatever. And that's him. Like his music is very authentic.
Absolutely.
Does not get played on the radio at all. And in my opinion,
I've heard a Tyler Childers song on the radio once when I was driving through Southern Maryland. Once.
Stunned that it was ever played.
I literally heard it, and I think it was out again. It was either 98.7 or 102.9, which again, if Michael J was on the air that day, that probably wouldn't, because I could guarantee he was probably like, I want to play a Tyler Childers song, so he probably did it. But I was like, oh my God, they're playing Tyler Childers. I was like, holy shit, they're playing Tyler Childers. And I blared that shit, like, because I get to be so excited. And that's what I actually want to hear.
Yeah.
Versus it doesn't matter what genre. If I'm like, oh, I'm in a country mood, that's the kind of shit that I'm more inclined to listen to.
I'm gonna do a thought experiment here. Let me see what the latest round of number one country songs are right now.
Oh, here we go.
Let's see what's happening right now. I'm gonna Google this number one country songs this week. Let's see what garbage is on. Yet,
there's a TikTok guy named Connor Smith who just played Whiskey Jam the other night. He has a song called "I Hate Alabama." That if that song does not ever become a number one, I will literally eat my pants.
Oh, I do like "I Hate Alabama." Very good.
That the first time I heard it, it literally made me tear up a little bit.
It's very good. So, according to Billboard, the number one song this week in country music is "Buy Dirt" by Jordan Davis, featuring Luke Bryan. It's a fine song. It's fine.
But Luke Bryan's on it.
Luke Bryan's on it, number one. Number two, I'll be honest with you, it's good. Again, and I'm speaking for myself. If there's people listening to this and you love Buy Dirt, by all means, fucking play the hell out of it.
Well, it's not just you. Literally, me and April were riding in the car yesterday, and that song came on the radio. We were just driving up to Pennsylvania, and we just had the radio on, and we were talking. We weren't really listening to the radio. It was just the background noise of her and I's conversation. But she literally looked. She said, "God damn it!" She said, "How many country singers need to sing about dirt?"
It's uncreative. I think that's the best way to describe Buy Dirt. It is uncreative. It's like
it's a great idea.
There's a good movie analogy for this
song. Like, I get the song, but it's like it's that feeling where the consumer is going, okay, how many times do I need to hear about Dirt?
It's like an Adam Sandler movie. Okay. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's like an Adam Sandler movie. Like,
Oh god.
not a terrible one, not Jack and Jill, not Grown Ups or Grown Ups 2. I would say it's like 2004 Adam Sandler. Like, it's fine, but it's like you're beating people over the head with the subject matter versus a guy like that I absolutely adore and love listening to, which would be Ian Munsick, a guy I really like. Ian Munsick has great vocals,
Mhm.
but he's also very intelligent lyrically. And he can turn a song like Solo, which is a song that sounds like a number one song, a song that should probably be number one, or Hardy's another great one. It's got
Mhm.
plenty of songs that sound like they should be number one songs. They're not, because they don't have the label support. But lyrically, if you take Buy Dirt and stack it up against, I mean, to hell with it. Let's just say He Went to Jared by Hardy, or Boots by Hardy, which is a song I love, or
Yeah.
or A Rock by Hardy, which is another song I love.
That whole record, I mean, shit, Boyfriend is one of my favorite songs.
Fantastic.
I love that
Fantastic song.
entire record top to bottom.
Yes. Very, very few albums I've been able to ever listen to from start to finish. And it's like A Rock by Hardy, anything by Fall Out Boy. There's been a couple others in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again,
But
but
to
like,
your point, exactly.
yes, but like, why isn't that a number one song versus Buy Dirt? It's because it's got label support. It's got Luke Bryan.
And
But
the
again,
labels, for people that are listening that don't understand the analogy we're trying to make, basically, a number one song is basically the equivalent of a record label trading baseball cards back and forth.
yes. And I think that's exactly what Bobby Bones said in his quote, which is it's these record labels saying, hey, we got a number one for Luke Combs. How about we give you one for Keith Urban? How about we give you
Oh,
one
did
for
he say
Jason
that?
Aldean? It was kind of like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, again, I'm not sitting here saying that Luke Combs has not deserved a number one song. That man has cranked out some diamonds, and that one that he has a record for the one of the, but there are songs that don't even, I would argue there are songs that don't even place in the top 100 of country music, of the Billboard Hot Country charts, that are probably more deserving of at least 1 week as a number one than anything you've heard in the past 50, I would say 50 months worth of the Billboard Hot Country charts. It's because a lot of these number one songs, they're just label supported, and they're very, I call them like baseline model. Like they're like, if you were to buy a car and just get the basic thing, yeah, you have a car, but really it's not impressive after that.
Yeah.
And that's why I gave it the Adam Sandler movie comparison, because Adam Sandler's a guy, I love his early stuff, but after like the third movie he did, all of it really was annoying after that. How many times can you be, like how many times can you be the rich kid, that the rich guy or the rich man or the rich kid in Billy Madison? How many times can you be rich and have no stakes in your movie? Like, I'm sorry, fart humor gets funny after like 1 or 2, and after like 4 times, 5 times, I want you to go and sit on the toilet.
I still think my favorite Adam Sandler movie, again, Happy Gilmore doesn't count because that's one of the best movies ever made.
Yes.
Comedy wise. But that animated movie that he did, the fucking like Hanukkah's night, or like the 5 nights of Hanukkah or whatever.
Yeah, 8 Crazy Nights.
Eight Crazy Nights.
Yeah.
I had never seen that movie before. And I remember laughing my ass off that entire, and the funniest part was when he was like, and we were so mean to Tiny, and they made him stick his finger in an electrical socket, and Tiny's like, seizing out. Like, like that's the kind of stuff I want to see. Again, it's the analogy. Like, I don't want to, it's like there's just a lot of rehashings of like,
just be more clever. Like, honestly, like that
authentic.
Buy Dirt, if Buy Dirt wasn't label supported, it would be that song on the album you skip over to get to the song you want to hear. That's a bold ass thing for me to say, but I'm willing to put it out there. If Buy Dirt was not, if Buy Dirt did not get
I don't want anyone to think that we're throwing Jordan Davis on.
No, I love Jordan Davis. A song that Jordan Davis does that does not get enough support. He did it with Seaforth. It's called Good Beer. And it's, again, I like Good Beer. Everyone does. Everyone likes Good Beer. But I like Good Beer because it is what it is. And it's a song when you hear it, it's not trying to be too witty. It's just
Hmm.
about good beer. And that's what
Yeah,
I like.
I
And
completely agree.
like I put that almost in the Brad Paisley bin. It's the Brad Paisley bin of songs that are self-aware. Buy Dirt is not self-aware. Buy Dirt is trying to come off as like a sympathetic, uh, deep melody country song that can connect with people. And it comes off as like this just ham-fisted beating you in the head with the system. And it wears me down after a while. I listened to it one time and I understood immediately why girls love it. Oh, settling down, buying land, building a house, building a home, building a
Right.
family. I get it because it plucks all those strings. It's very uncreative. And I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know who wrote it. I apologize if that person's listening or I had that person on my show. But yeah, it's just a little uncreative. But people need to hear that genuine criticism. People need to hear that.
There's been times that I've written, and let's talk about self-aware. There's been songs that I've written where there's a reason why they're not out.
Yeah.
Because if I don't feel it, I'm not putting it out. Like you gotta,
yeah.
I have to feel it. I'm not, and you know, I might eat those words someday, but again, I don't have a record label supporting me. I don't have, you know, tour support. I don't have management. I don't have agencies behind me. Everything that I have is completely organic, and the only reason I have anything that I have is because I have friends like you and I have fans that support me. Point blank. That
And
is
yourself.
well, and me, right? Well,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
but
it.
aside from once I finish it and I go to do it, there's only two other things that affect the success of any of my stuff. It's the people that also help me support it and the people that listen to it that also keep helping support it.
Yeah.
So again, I may end up being a hypocrite one day and someone may say, "Oh, well, you know, he didn't really feel that." But I'm sure that there's some songs that, you know, we say that about where the artist is probably like, "Well, man, I really felt that." And it's like, so how, you know, I don't know.
It's a balance, but I will say this: everything you just said is exactly why I love independent artists. Is because you are the purest form of art. There is no corporate behind you trying to get you to mold or twist in a certain way. There's no outside influences. You are literally inspiring yourself. You are hearing things. You are seeing things. You're experiencing things. You're taking in information, and you're creating art. It is
Right.
it is one of the last pure forms of art you can have now, that still can also be used and be independent with it and still produce enough income to support yourself.
Which is
Uh,
again why I think people like you are very important
mhm,
because you have done things that have supported independent artists and local and small musicians but that's again why I think things like for whatever experience you have I think iHeart is very important because
yes,
not only are they an on-air station, but iHeart's also an app.
it's a brand.
I
Yep.
am on iHeart. iHeart is a brand. It is a bigger umbrella than just what you are hearing that's
Mhm.
syndicated on the radio. So internet radio, you know, brands like iHeart that do that as well, that is you're seeing that, you know, I think you made a comment earlier of like, you know, where you think radio is heading. We've
Yeah,
kind of already watched the shift.
yeah. It my theory expands beyond that. I think to simplify my theory, I don't think radio is ever going to go away. I don't
I
think
don't think so
terrestrial
either.
radio. I don't think they'll ever take those out of cars. They're very cheap to put in. It offers people a free option. People are always going to want that. There's been murmurs that radios are going to come out of cars and that would kill radio. Radio is, if everything else fails, if a meteor comes through and smacks every satellite out of the air, or
There's
even if
still
it's just,
RF frequencies going on everywhere.
yeah, you can still use radio and you can still do TV because the origins of that technology did not involve satellites. Internet's going down. My phone completely useless if all the satellites go down.
One
So
tower
that,
goes down, all the cell phone
yes,
services are gone, Wi-Fi is gone,
yes.
everything's gone.
and you don't even necessarily need electricity. You can just, there are like ham radios you can crank, and like they last for like an hour or so, and you get a frequency and you can put out a distress signal. Radio is important to that. I don't think it's ever going to go away, but I think the way it is used is definitely going to change. And my theory, it's not complete, but I think there will be brands of stations, and they're all going to universally sound the same for a cost efficient mechanism, or I guess a cost efficient purpose on the back end. But
I've never heard someone put it that way.
That local radio is, I don't think it's going to die, but I don't think it's going to be as emphasized as bigger picture stuff. Because again, we live in a world that's so connected. I mean, it is insane how connected we are. The attention has gone from small things in your community to bigger picture stuff. We used to live in a world where no one cared who was president. This is not me being political. I do not give a shit about your politics. But
Right.
We used to live in a world where no one cared about the president. Now, everyone cares about who's president, despite the fact that the president of the United States has no impact on anything in your local community. Think about that. Is the president responsible
had that conversation the other day too.
Is the president responsible for there being potholes on 141?
No.
Mm-mm. I mean, Biden's cars might cause them, but they don't. If there's a gas station being built in your community,
All right.
exactly. Like, we live in a world that has become so connected and so focused on the big picture stuff. It's hard to get people to engage with that local community stuff. It's really hard. A lot of people that still do it are people that are dedicated to it. So my view on radio is that it's going to become more nationally based, almost like a social media style of radio, where it's just the same personality speaking to you, not a lot of uniqueness, not a lot of creativity.
I don't know, like what an iHeart or Spotify is. Like, it's a very connected radio broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference really between iHeart and Spotify, for instance, is, iHeart, you have the option to either listen to what's on radio, or you can download the app and you can search it yourself. And Spotify is, for the most part, you go out and you seek what you want to listen to, or, Spotify will curate playlists for you. Like, hey, you might like this based off everything else you listen to. Check this out.
And so there's one more component.
Okay.
And when they first rolled this out, this was about 2 years ago. When they first rolled this out, I got really excited. I guess in the best way possible, radio stations now used to program their own music. Used to be someone who get paid to program logs, and that was an art form. Yeah, a program director. That was an art form in and of itself. I did that in college, where I was a daytime director, and I would program all the music during the day. And there is an art form to it. 1, 2, 3 quick songs in a row, or 2 quick songs in a row, and then you play that slow song to bring people back down. And then you do like a hot song and then a mid-tier song. And then you do another hot song and then another hot song, then a mid-tier song. And it's also, there's a timing element to it. You don't want to do that at like 9 o'clock or like 7 o'clock in the morning when people are going into work. You want to do that while people are at work, bringing people in and out, keep them going. Now radios program their music based off of streaming numbers, and they take that information very much. They almost prioritize that streaming potential and results. They prioritize that more than anything when it comes to getting a song on. And it's a good thing, but going back to our conversation about number one country songs, it's also a bad thing, because people have been programmed for years, and there will be a transitional period. I think it will eventually even out. It's kind of starting to come back to where I want it to be, or come to where I want it to be. But people have been programmed to like, oh, Keith Urban, Jason Aldean, these are the artists that define this genre, and then they get the most plays. It's imperfect in that sense. But eventually what's going to happen is people that see those artists as the faces of the genre will start to discover smaller artists, like artists that are a couple steps down, like a Sam Grow and like an Ian Munsick and Tyler Childers, and these wonderful, talented people. They'll start to notice them, and then it brings them down the funnel sooner. Like that.
There were legends before them that did that for them. And what you just said was so great, because like like John Mayer actually, again, I love John, but he said something that was very interesting too, where he said, if you go and see a live band like the Rolling Stones,
Mhm.
that's been around for 50 years, that's they're choosing 16 songs out of that 50-year catalog. If you go see a Keith Urban show, again, he's choosing 16 to 20 songs out of a 22, 25-year
Yeah.
career. So, and there was someone
Like
that
how many albums? Blake Shelton has like 16 albums. Like Christ
something
Almighty. Like
ridiculous like that.
yeah, like if I probably more than that. If you gave, I'm willing to bet if you gave me 16 albums, and I've never written a song in my life, I'm willing to bet if you said, "Hey Ben, write 16 albums," I could come up with a decent set list.
Right.
Maybe it probably all sound terrible, but like okay, whatever, Like
What you're
God,
saying, yeah, but like that to the point, it's like, when you see all of these artists, you're like, man, it's like it's just the same guys over and over again. Well, yeah, but eventually it does get to a point where like some guys are like, okay, well, I can't be on top for forever.
mm-hmm.
And for as much as there's all like Keith Urban is always going to be around
Yep.
and he's always going to make great music. And I love Keith. And again, someone like John or someone like Chris Stapleton or, Metallica, they're always going to make great music,
Mm-hmm.
but they always can't be the kings of the genre for
Oh,
forever.
the thrones there will be new people on the thrones. There's
Right.
one more thing I want to get to, and then we can do the questions, and then we're both
Yes,
hungry.
absolutely. And I love that you and I are on the same page. It's very interesting being on this side of it too. Like now because
It's weird for me. I'm used to being the one that guides the rope here,
but I understand you so well, and I'm having so much fun doing this with you. What we should do next time, before you make your last point, and we wrap up the show and we get to the questions, the next time we do this, because I would love to do this with you again, and I would actually love to like have you over here, like
Of
on a
course.
weekend, and we could actually sit down, and I would love to like, I would just love to document a lot of this stuff because I don't think people really understand the knowledge base
I don't.
that you have in
Oh,
this.
that no. Oh.
Well, no, for real though, because people look at young people in the industry and they're like, okay,
Yeah.
it's like young artists. Okay, well, what can he offer me? But
Mm-hmm.
like that's the point of this show is I want to have my friends on the show so that whoever listens to this, whether it be another artist, like myself or someone like you or who like
Mm-hmm.
being connected, like you have so much information to offer people. That's what this show is about. Like I just want to talk to people that know more than me and I want to get this kind of stuff out of it. So like, thank you for being my friend and doing this with me. You know what I
Well,
mean?
thank you for being my friend. I enjoy on the flip side, I enjoy hearing about your side of the industry. It's the creative process is fascinates me. But the final interesting point that kind of all meshes together with my theory on where radio's headed.
Yeah.
We live in a world now where the way it used to be for music and movies and everything is you would sign with a production company. There was no such thing as an independent artist back in the 80s. I mean, you were either a writer for an artist, you were a roadie, you were a cover band, and then maybe a record label plucked you out of a bar somewhere and gave you an opportunity. But most of the time you were writing songs for these bigger artists to basically funnel music into their career and make the record labels money. It's not the case anymore. Now you can have a couple followers on Instagram, make a great song and go viral. One of the things I wish there was a way to have sustained it for TikTok. The first like 6 months of TikTok was fucking amazing.
It was so pure.
It was so pure. You had people that I knew, hardworking people like Priscilla Block, who was working like 3 jobs to sustain her career, come out of nowhere. Now, do I think there's a double-edged sword to that because some people get famous and they're not ready for it at all. And I think to a degree, Priscilla, got all that fame, got that record label. She didn't have an album's worth of music written. But she's a great writer though. And she's very clever and crafty with what she does. And she's almost falls into that Brad Paisley bucket where she makes fun of the genre almost, or self-aware of the genre.
Right.
But all of a sudden it was just this wild west of all these artists making putting their hard work out there and then boom, millions of views. That is all TikTok did what I expected it to do, which is become Instagram basically. And you see the same 7 people on fucking TikTok now. But when TikTok was at its peak, was that first 6 months, and Priscilla Block, there was all these artists just blowing the fuck up on TikTok. It was wonderful. But what my point to that is, independent artists now don't need labels to become famous. You can become your own brand. And
Yes, thank you.
A lot of people have done that. And it's fascinating they've done it. Like, for example, one female that's been on the Nashville's Next podcast before, Carly Rogers. She has gotten over 50,000. I think she's closing on 60,000 followers just on Instagram across all the board. I want to say it's close to 100,000.
She's also she's also a very nice person on top.
Very nice person.
She's not hiding anything with that.
No,
I know Carly. She's one.
Yeah, I know Carly too. She's not like she's not an Instagram model. She's not selling her body. She's not doing that. She actually makes fun of people that do that. Like she's but she's not signed to a label. Shit, she might not even have that many songs out. But what she's developed is a brand. And it used to be that you had to go and find a marketing company or a record label to do that. You don't need that anymore. Now you can go. Sam Gross pretty much self-funded. Like he's pretty much self-made. I mean, Ian Munsick's that way to a degree. Hardy is that way. Hardy wrote for years some of the stuff he wrote, and then eventually he was like, "Fuck, why am I writing for these people? I'll just do it myself."
Yeah,
and
look what happened.
Yeah, there's a band, Muscadine Bloodline, that wrote so much, and they were like, why are we writing for these people? We'll just make these own songs. And what this creates like almost a like an hourglass of all the talents of all this writing talents down here, and all this amazing name brand talents up here, the Luke Bryans and whatnot. And now what's happening is that's starting to become more of a funnel, more of a direct funnel. And now you have a ton of great music all over the place, and you don't need these labels anymore. So
and I think that's just a perfect point of just like where we are. That's just somebody said, I saw Brad from Three Doors Down posted, the world that you were born in no longer exists.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
One, by the simple virtue of time, the older we get, yesterday is always gone. We only have tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Which is why I try not to live in the past anymore, because yesterday is gone. The only thing I have to look forward to is right now and tomorrow. That's all I have. But he is correct. With every day that passes, and as long as we keep doing this, our industry is constantly changing. And you and I are living and working in a business that we've never seen this side of it before.
Yeah, it's new. What I've always tried to do about situations like this, I always try to look at the past and look at history and how this is handled. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Like this is, you go back to when music was first listened to, like Beethoven, and even before that, some of the great composers before him. There's nothing like this at all. It's unprecedented. Now, all of this comes together to form a storm that's coming for the music industry, for the music media industry, and for streaming. And as to what that storm is, I might have to come back on this podcast and talk about it at some point.
And we absolutely will. And I think that's a great place for us to section this off. And we'll bookmark this for the next time that we talk, which I actually would really like it to be very, very soon. And even after we stop taping this, I'm going to go have dinner, but I guarantee I'll be texting you as soon as we jump off here. And I guarantee this conversation will probably keep going into the evening. But for the listeners out here, please do me a favor before we get to the questions and then we wrap this up. Please go follow Benny Panella on Facebook, Instagram. Make sure you guys tune in whenever he's on air and be in touch with everything that he's doing. And before we jump off, I'm going to have him plug anything that he wants to tell you guys. But Benny did a Smarticle particle, and he posted on his story today a question box for the podcast this evening. So, Benny, did you get anything that was kind of funny or interesting that
I got 3 questions. What happened to people that used to stalk me? I'll take you guys back in a heartbeat. No, I'm kidding. 3 questions. I guess people are busy today. First, my girlfriend asks, when are we going to meet up with him in April again? So double date soon.
As soon as I go upstairs, we are going to. That's going to be in the text thread as well. We got to make that happen like now.
And then I think this is a message for you.
Okay.
Javon Newman. Shout out to Javon. Love that guy. Talk about a crazy ass TikTok story right here. When will the world see a Justin Taylor Javon Newman collab?
The song has been written.
Ooh.
The song has been demoed.
Oh.
So the next step to do is to hit the studio.
Okay.
With him and I in the same room again, and we are. I think it is a very honest song, and I remember he came over for a session, and I sent him an idea, and I kind of played him what I had, and he vibed with it, and we did a song together, and the song does exist on this computer.
I can say it.
And I could send you a demo.
Ooh.
But yeah, the next step is we just got to get in the room and do it for the real deal.
Is the song called Benny?
No, but now I got to write a new song.
If someone ever writes a song about me, please do not. I would be.
It's like the Family Guy skit where it's like another song about a girl. Name me 5 songs that have a girl's name. Sarah, Jessica, Miranda. It's like
the best one is that he ends it with Eleanor Rigby, and I fall out of my freaking chair every time. Eleanor freaking Rigby.
No, and Stewie goes, fuck you, man. He just throws his guitar
slaps the guitar and leaves. Another song about a girl.
Oh,
all right.
Roxanne, Rosanna. Oh, shit. Oh
my God, it's good.
All I've had to drink tonight is tea, which is funny. Oh, all right.
And the last one, this one's a little more sentimental. This one's from kid I went to college with. Oh my God, I haven't spoken to this kid in a while. But Joe, shout out to Joe Panisi. He says, "What's been the highlight of your career so far?" I don't think I've ever talked about this. I think the most fun I've had in my career. Oh my gosh, I gotta go through and like think about it real quick. I think it was when I was in college. Because when I went to college, and I know I say that, and people are gonna be like, "You've been in media for since I was 18." But when I was in college, I used to do play-by-play, and I love one of my passions above music is play-by-play
commentary.
Yes. My tape is still out there on YouTube. If Fox Sports ever wants to listen to it, please. I used to do play-by-play for my college's hockey team, and we had access to everything. Anything we wanted, we got access to it. If we wanted to do player interviews between periods, we didn't want to do interviews before and after the game. We got access to everything. Coaches, they would feed us stuff. Like the guy's coaching the game and he's texting me things to say. It was wonderful. They were so obsessed with everything. They loved us. Got to travel on team bus. It was wonderful. The funnest moment I ever had, though, it was my senior year. We did an outdoor hockey game. It was really cool. It was all the way up in this town in New Jersey, and it was at this clubhouse that I think Bon Jovi used to go to. Dude, it's crazy. It was Rowan versus Villanova, and it was 4 degrees. That was it. It was 4 degrees. We were heating our stuff. We had camera issues because if the camera got too far away from a space heater, it would start to freeze.
Oh, dear Lord.
So they had space heaters all over this friggin' place, and we had to position the cameras a certain way. Anyway, I had the call of my life, and the call of my life was there was a scrum in front of that. 2 guys started fighting, and the call, I have it branded into my head. There's the whistle. 2 guys tussling right now. How's your mother doing? She's fine. How's yours? As the net comes off its moorings. And the stream had like 10,000 people watching it. And I got so many people commenting about that quote.
There's
the
two guys tussling right
it's
now,
like
and
the
how is your
second
mother doing?
period.
She's doing great.
The YouTube video is out there. It's the most, I think it's the most watched or the
Oh,
second most watched YouTube video on my college TV station.
oh my
But
God.
yeah, I had some great ones. I had shot it into a soup can. I had a little tussle and bustle. I had a bunch of like the go-to calls. I used to love that.
I'm gonna go again. I'm an insomniac these days. I don't sleep very much anymore. I'm gonna be up tonight, like doing that. I'm gonna be looking for those videos.
It's very rough play-by-play. There's parts where like, there's like a couple seconds go by and I'm not saying anything. But man, I missed play-by-play. I missed doing play-by-play for baseball and football and all kinds of stuff. That was
I
so
can
much
see you
fun.
in that world. Knowing you personally,
Yeah.
I can totally see that. That makes a lot of sense.
I haven't done it since 2018. I used to do it for 302 Sports. Life got in the way and kind of my schedule got booked up a little bit. But it's something I thought about even doing it on my own, like just like going to a local high school saying, "Hey guys, I really just want to do play-by-play."
Ah, hey, well, it's never too late to do it again. Never
Not too late.
to do it again.
Never too late. Oh man. And I guess the thing I want to plug is independent music. Support independent artists. They need it more than Luke friggin' Bryan.
No shade thrown, but I second
Dirt.
that because I'm one of them. I have stake in that game. I have stake in that plug. But man, I'll tell you that I don't think I haven't laughed that hard in a while. And damn, it was good to catch up with you. Seriously,
Yes.
man. I'm glad that
We'll have to
you're
grab
doing
some beers sometime, man. We really do.
Yes, absolutely. So seriously, we're gonna wrap this up, and I guarantee you, I'm gonna be texting you afterwards because I'm gonna edit this tonight, after dinner, and I'm gonna go have a bite with April. If you guys could, please do me a favor. Go follow Benny Panella on Instagram, Facebook. If he's on Twitter, go follow him there too. I don't know if he has an OnlyFans or not, but if he is, please tell me where I can find it. And actually this is pretty cool. So we put my song All In out about just over 2 weeks ago, and we are already across 20,000 streams. So if we could get to 30 by the end of the month, if we could do 30 in 1 month, that would be insane. So y'all keep spinning that song. Thank you guys for your support of all things that I've been doing and this podcast. And if you like this podcast, please tell all your friends. And also, if you wanna go listen to my interview that I did with Benny about 2 years ago on Nashville's Next, you can go to iHeartRadio.com and you can go listen to those podcasts. And him and I had a lot of great fun, but he also did some amazing interviews and podcasts with some of my friends, including Mr. Sam Grow and Hank Miller and i.e. all the rest that are on there. There's hours and hours and hours of content that he's posted. And I sometimes I go back just to listen to them because there's a lot of great information, and that's what we're here for. We're here for good times, talking about music and just talking about life. And this is this episode epitomizes what the show is about. So Benny, thank you for doing this with me. And the next time we do it, it'll be in person. And it'll be the second time that I see you because we have to hang out off camera, and then we got to do this again in person on camera.
Hell yeah, brother. You take
Awesome.
care, man. It's great to see you.
Great to see you, brother. Thank you so much. I'll text you soon. All right.
Yep.
All right. See you, everybody. Bye.